is up, RotoGrinders? 2 hours of nonstop MLB DFS conversation. It starts right now, taking you all the way up the lock, all the way up the first pitch. Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth coming in for crunch time around 6:10, 6:15, taking you up the first pitch. TastefulTides, Tim Buell. Saw Tim hanging out there in chat in the bullpen, as well as the CEO of the Bat and the Blitz, Derek Carty. It's myself, returning champion Kyle Murray. Kyle, I don't think you've ever partook in a Fleet Thursday. Is this your first time ever partaking in a Fleet Thursday? Are you prepared? Do you know what it is? Are you going in cold? Do you know what a Fleet Thursday is?
No, I did one with you, but I don't think it was on a Thursday, unless it was. We did the Yao Ming one a week or two ago.
Yeah. I bounce change the days up sometimes. Every once in a while I get it. But this is actually a legit Fleet Thursday on a Thursday. So we'll be doing that 1 week free to RG Premium to the first person that tells me what athlete I'm talking about. Of course, you answer that in the Discord channel. We'll drop that first clue momentarily. The chat's going to love the first clue. I was very angry yesterday, Kyle, because you saw us Tilted All show. Was it yesterday somebody got a hole-in-one? Maybe it was the previous show. I'm still angry about somebody getting a hole-in-one. I mean, on one clue. So I do not want anybody guessing.
Is this going to be like a deal where you're like getting some revenge now? You're going to set up the pin in a tough place. You're not going to make it easy on anybody?
Just wait until you see the first clue. The chat knows what the first clue is. They know what the first clue is already. We can go ahead and drop it just for funsies. The first clue, again, it's an athlete. And if you know it, Kyle, if you know this, just don't say it. Don't ruin the game.
Okay.
The first clue is retired. Retired. Again, just please. I know you want to. If you got it, just keep it in your back pocket.
Oh yeah, I already know who it is. It's obviously. I don't even want to say like a funny name because I don't want to ruin it. Because I know you told a story about that one time. But
TJ got it once. I'm retired, and I was so angry. I didn't talk to him for weeks, so I was very mad. But yeah, it's possible. So theoretically, it is possible. There's a non-zero chance somebody will bank it, but I did not want anybody to guess it today. Of course, the only official guesses are in the Discord channel, rotogrinders.com/Discord, live stream chat channel. Some of our Discord channels are free. Of course, that will be a free Discord channel. Most of them happen to be free. I see Mabs in chat. What's up, chat? Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications. If it was Bobby Bonilla, and I'm not saying it. I'm not saying it's not. But if it was Bobby Bonilla, that would not be an official guess because you're guessing in the YouTube. It's also not Mr. 3000. Debatable if he's actually an athlete, Bernie Mac. You see that movie back in the day? May I remember Mr. 3000?
Yep, when he was was he on the Padres in that movie?
The Brewers, I believe.
Brewers, okay. Yeah, same color scheme. That was close.
Yeah. It's also not Bernie Mac or Mr. 3000. But all right, we have a 7-gamer. Plenty of time for debate, plenty of time for conversation, plenty of time to interact with the chat. 7 games till we yield to crunch time. They're coming in an hour plus or so. Weather-wise, we're pretty clear. Let me go ahead and give Ross report a refresh. But I think the biggest thing today as far as weather, you tell me if I'm wrong, we're talking triple digits in Sacramento, Oakland, Atlanta, out there in Sacramento. We saw Atlanta go off last night. The previous night, we saw the Athletics put up a big boy number. It's 100. The wind is blowing out as well. We know about this ballpark as is. Minor league. We said the other day, Nick Allen hit a home run out of the park. Even Marcelo Zuna with his broken hip hit a ball out of the ballpark just barely last night. It is a pitcher's nightmare to some degree. And we had the most popular pitcher on the slate, without question, without a conversation, Spencer Strider. And I'm curious to get your take on that. One of the other more popular games is going to be Patrick Corbin versus Jack Kohanowitz. Basically a coin toss, both teams, the team total about 5. One of the things I thought was interesting, I listed all the pitchers, together. 14 pitchers, 14 starters, 7 games. Every single one of them, there's some good pitchers, mostly bad, mostly meh. But every single one of them has a homer in the 9 over 1. So it feels like on layaway, kind of a homer fest to some degree. 1.88 homers per 9 for Walker Buehler, 1.86 for Marcus Stroman. Sears at 1.75 in that ballpark there in Sacramento. It's like 8 or 9 of the guys, at least 1.32. Patrick Corbin. Randy Vasquez just keeps getting away with it. Good Lord. 3.79 ERA, 5.71 Sierra, which is just a dramatic dramatic difference. One of these days, he's going to get absolutely shellacked. Like a 10 runs are going to get thrown up on him. Like, where'd that come from? Well, he's had it coming all season long. I'm curious to get to your screenshot, your overview. We do have it's yellow. It's a green yellow. No. Well, it's green yellow in Cincinnati. We don't care about that game. It's not on our slate. It's green for the Yankees in Seattle. Roth basically says possibly a raindrop or two, but who cares? And it's yellow for the White Sox and Cleveland. But otherwise, the biggest thing as far as weather today is Atlanta, in Sacramento, Oakland, the Athletics, with triple-digit temperatures, wind blowing out, and already a positive ballpark. I'm curious to get to your screenshot, your overview. I think it's a really good slate for tournaments. I'm curious how you feel about it.
Yeah, I think that's a good breakdown. I think from a pitching perspective, it's kind of iffy. I mean, you can kind of poke holes in the case for pretty much every pitcher on the board, so that usually leads to it being a good slate where you can definitely find some leverage. Like you mentioned Spencer Strider there, 51%, 50% projected ownership or higher, pretty much across the board. So he's for sure going to be the chalk. And when you look at what he's kind of done this year, he's sort of dialed in as of late from a power prevention perspective. But early on in the year, obviously coming back from that elbow injury, he definitely had some rust, and this A's team certainly has some power. So you definitely wouldn't be surprised if we see Strider get hit hard a little bit. Obviously, if he's missing bats, he's still going to be able to pitch around this good hitting environment. But if he's not, that could easily be a spot where he does get touched up a little bit. I do think he is the best pitcher on the slate by far for today. So I get the chalk, but if you are just looking for reasons to be contrarian, similar with Giolito yesterday, like that is a spot where you're just looking to find reasons to want to be unique. There's definitely some holes to be poked with Strider, and then after that, like you have Brian Wu as the most expensive pitcher on the board, but 10K against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. You can make a case for stacking against him as well. I mean, I do like Brian Wu. He's been arguably one of the better pitchers on the slate so far this season, if not the best on the slate. So you definitely don't want to attack him too frequently, but on a slate like this where there's not a ton of really, really good pitching options or, elite stacks that are necessarily jumping out as well, you can certainly make a case for that. Taj Bradley, similar situation. He's probably going to be pretty popular against a Boston team that has been very hit or miss, mostly miss, but they've been a good matchup at times for strikeouts, but certainly have some power in that lineup as well. So, I mean, those are just the top three guys from an ownership perspective, but you can pretty much go down the list and have the same sort of issues with guys who are getting any kind of ownership. So you can essentially make a case for both sides in essentially every pitching versus stack matchup. So I certainly think that is worth noting, and that'll definitely lead to some variance and some potentially good tournament spots tonight.
Yeah, Boston's been more hit of late, but that's possibly just because they're facing Colorado. That certainly doesn't hurt. They're facing Colorado, getting the beat up on them. The Strider thing to me is so important, and he is my favorite pitcher. If you're forcing me to pick a favorite pitcher tonight, but like you said, this is not the Spencer Strider, that your friend talked about 2 years ago. Yep. This is a different guy. The Ks are down. The walks are still not great. The velocity is down a tick. And like when you're throwing, 96, 97, you're going to generate a lot of power when the hitter actually hits the ball. But one of the stats that I was going through, as far as hard hit contact, there is 359 pitchers. 359 pitchers are ranked on Baseball Savant as far as average exit velocity for pitchers. Not every single one of them, but most of them, right? 359. Spencer Strider has the 8th highest average exit velocity in baseball. And again, part of that is because he's supplying the power as the pitcher. It's throwing 96. The velocity is down 27.6%, still the highest K rate on the slate, but it's not what he once was. The velocity is still not what it once was. It's just, and this Athletics team is very boom bust as well. So I think my strategy is, I wrote about this in today's survey, I'm going to have a fair bit of Strider. But in the lineups I don't have Strider, I will have Athletics. And just kind of hope for, big variance one way or the other. And not something in the middle, but hope for like a spectacular pitching, a performance from Strider or just him getting absolutely pummeled. Which, again, the ballpark is very much in play, too. If this game was in Kansas City, I wouldn't be nearly as excited about the Athletics. But sometimes, whatever it is, the extra 10, 15 feet you're getting with the combination of that ballpark and the combination of the weather, that can make all the difference in the world. Butto in chat is telling me it's Lawrence Butler's birthday. So shout out to Lawrence Butler. I was not aware of that. I don't know if that changes things for you, but he is the leadoff hitter for the Athletics. Certainly would be a part of the stack. I was thinking about maybe this is something we generally limit to 3-game slates, 2-game slates. Is it completely nuts to play Strider and an Athletic? And kind of a little bit, because he can give up 2 home runs and still be one of the top 2 pitchers in the slate. Is that crazy to say? Because we'll talk about the rest. It falls off really, really quickly. You said basically the best ones, and you stopped because you don't want to talk about it anymore, I imagine. Maybe you do. Maybe you have someone in your back pocket that I'm not aware of. But like the way I wrote about it today is like, as far as Spencer Strider, is that, you don't have to be faster than the bear. You just have to be faster than the guy next to you. And Strider, when compared to everybody next to him, he's kind of Usain Bolt, even though he's not. But he's faster than Erod. He's faster than Walker Buehler. He's faster than Marcus Stroman and Kohanowitz and Michaelis. It's just a bunch of nonsense. So would you consider playing Strider with an Athletic? That's also maybe a little bit different. Maybe I'm being too cute by saying that. Tell me I'm being too cute if I am. But I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not the worst thing in the world, but I think that there are, still plenty of good hitting spots on the slate. Like there are 5 or 6 stacks that I, feel pretty good about, especially, on a slate with just a lot of bad pitching. I mean, like we're talking about Strider like this in a point where we feel pretty safe about him because of the fact that all these pitchers are bad. So that's going to just lead to just really good matches for a lot of these hitters. And another thing is a lot of these A's are priced up pretty much. I mean, there's a few guys that I think are cheap. I could make a case for maybe liking Langeliers as a catcher. So I think there are some certain situations where you can do that. But overall, I don't think it's something that you necessarily have to do, mainly because there are just tons of good hitting spots. So if you're using Strider, you could probably just look other ways. And then also a spot where you might want to do it is maybe with Langeliers at a catcher position that is typically pretty weak, and that's pretty much the case today as well.
So we're looking at 52% ownership for Strider, give or take, on DK. So going to be in at least half the lineups. In single entry stuff, we know how this works. It's going to be like 80, 85, 90%. It's going to be a monster number. Erod around 20 in the 20s, Woo in the 20s, Bradley in the 20s. You mentioned Woo and Bradley. I guess you have Erod a little bit behind. He's certainly cheaper, taking on a San Diego team that's pretty contact heavy. He's had some really bad outings. He's been okay for the most. He's really got hit hard a couple times to really inflate his numbers. Not that I'm an Erod defender, but I think I'd rather play Logan Allen just because it's the matchup. If we're talking about like AK 7-7 and the White Sox, Logan Allen should be fine, and fine should be fine enough, right? If you have 14 points in your SP2, I think that's okay in the slate, right? Is somebody really going to break it? If it's not going to be Strider, who else could it be? Could somebody else break the slate? Maybe Bradley, maybe Woo, probably not, but maybe. Is that sort of your thought process? Like you get 14 points from Logan Allen, no more, no less. Do you play him at 7-7? Are you in?
Yeah, I think I would, and I think I'd be fine with that at 14 for Allen. I will say, if there's gonna be someone else to break the slate, it probably would be Woo. Like, I mean, the same reason I talked about Logan Evans yesterday. I know it didn't pan out, but the matchup is really boom or bust for this Yankees team. But if it booms, it could boom in a big way from a strikeout perspective. So yeah, I think that would probably be my next pick to break the slate. But yeah, I mean, after those top 2 guys, like from a strikeout perspective, there's a reason why we're seeing low K props. I mean, there's only 3 guys on the slate that don't have a 4.5 K prop or lower. Bradley's at 5.5, right around even money. Woo is at 5.5, a little bit of juice on it, so maybe like a 6 implied strikeout projection there, and then Strider's at 7.5 with a good amount of juice on the over there as well. So yeah, there's just not a lot of strikeouts on the board. At least that's the way Vegas is seeing it. And after that, like when you're looking at all these 4.5 guys, Logan Allen has the most juice on the over. So yeah, I would agree. I think Logan Allen's probably the best option below 8K tonight.
Is it 3 lineups for you tonight again? How many lineups are you making?
Yeah, I got 3, but just on DraftKings side, not on FanDuel. At least yet.
You should mention the FanDuel stuff over there. Of course, Strider is going to be well owned on FanDuel. I think it's going to be close to 30-40% we're looking at. He's going to get a fair bit of the ownership. It's not that hard to make a Strider lineup work. And same sort of deal like Erod, Bradley, and Wu, somewhere in the teens, getting, the 4 of those getting a big chunk of ownership. Allen around 6-7%. He's essentially, you're not getting the discount really off of Erod or Bradley. And then, everybody else is like 5% or less. I'm also not playing on FanDuel tonight, just for time allotments and all that kind of stuff, as far as doing the show and making lineups. But I would start with Strider, and again, I do think there's some merit in not playing him and picking on him, just kind of playing it both ways and talking out of both sides of your mouth, not necessarily taking a stand. Just got the Angels, by the way. Neto, Trout went double dong last night. Ward, Adele, Soler, Moncada, Ohapi, Rengifo, and Wade Jr. in the 9 hole. So that means there's no Sean Well, right? He's not playing baseball. I think that's the only difference that we had as far as our projected lineup. How deep do you want to go as far as talking about pitchers? Because, again, there's 14. Hypothetically, if you were rolling 100, Kyle, 150, if you're maxing, again, you're not doing it, but you can play along. You've done this before. You know how it works. Who's just out? Is Sears, any chance Sears at 150 you're making? Is it just a super tight pool? Do you let some people just put their feet in the water? Michaelis, Stroman, Kohanowitz. Stop me if any of these guys would crack your 150 pool.
I mean, honestly, like you can really make a case for playing any pitcher tonight. I probably cross off Sears just because I think Atlanta's gonna be popular. So it's like, think about it this way: if Atlanta's gonna be popular from a stacking perspective, and they don't get there, is that because Sears is dominating and like racking up a ton of strikeouts? Like I guess it's possible. We've seen him strike people out in bunches before, but when you look at the splits, he's really bad against righties and he doesn't strike them out at all. He has a almost 10% higher CSW against lefties compared to righties. Only going to see one lefty tonight. So obviously looking into that, don't really love Sears tonight. And I think that's kind of why people like the Braves, rightfully so. Vasquez, same deal. I genuinely think you'd have to probably pay me to play him on most slates just because like he has no ceiling.
Yeah.
So to play him, like you go back to that game against the Dodgers a few weeks ago, but 15 points. That's like legitimately his ceiling. So if that's the case, if you get 15 from him, you probably actually feel great about 15 from him. But how often do you? Yeah, but how often do you get that? So realistically, we haven't projected for what is it, 8 points or so. So if we're gonna get that from him, you pretty much need everyone else to falter around him, which is also very possible on the slate, which is why I think guys are in play. But I think the guys I would for sure cross off are Sears or Vasquez. By the way, I would rather play Sears than Vasquez, but probably not playing either.
Same.
And then after that, like I don't like these guys, but if you're playing 150, you can make a case for playing all of them because like it is such a weird slate. Honestly, I think it's one of the more unique slates of the season because like I think just the pitching quality is not very high. So if you are able to roster a guy who's sub 8K and you get 10 to 12 from him, but the rest of the slate just implodes pitching wise, which is very possible. It's a small slate and there's a lot of potential red flags for all these guys. Or maybe you play Strider with one of these cheap guys that's getting no ownership just to offset the ownership a little bit. I think a lot of these guys are actually in play. So, I mean, I'm probably not playing Kohanowitz. I think he's one of the worst pitchers in the MLB. Miles Michaelis, I've seen some comments in the chat about him. Someone said DFA Eve for Michaelis. I think that's very possible. I don't like him at all. But if doing 150, all these guys, like you can kind of make a case for them still.
I thought Michaelis signed kind of a long extension. Am I wrong in saying that? He's Oh, no, I guess he signed until the end of this season. Okay, he signed in 2023, a 3-year deal for $55 million. Okay, so free agent next year. Like he's an innings eater. Like he's better in real life than he is in. He's not good in real life, but he's better in real life than he is in fantasy.
Yeah.
Like he's a usable arm that can just like he's Aaron Savali. Like he's better than Aaron. Like those kind of guys, just like they'll kind of roll out there and pitch uneventfully for 5 innings or so. But like there's just no ceiling. And you mentioned Kohanowitz. There's several guys that like we've had this all season long. Randy Vasquez has kind of bounced back and forth, where his walk rate is higher than his K rate. His walk rate is 10.7%. 10.7%. His Ks are 12.5%. Stroman, it's not a huge sample, but 13.5% Ks, 11.2% walks. His one skill is getting ground balls. When the ball's in the air, he's been in trouble. He's given up almost 2 homers per 9. Again, it's small sample stuff, but he's basically on hole 18 as well. Steve's talking about Stroman DFA'd. The dude that pitched yesterday for the Yankees, like, why wouldn't he stick around and they would kick Stroman out potentially? They're not married to him long term, right? I assume it's just a 1-year deal. And then you said Kohanowitz, 15% Ks, 10% walks. It's just those are pitchers you just want to attack. And then you mentioned Sears. He's got the biggest fly ball rate on the slate, and his dependency is like homer and the fly ball stuff. And it's not good to be dependent on homer and the fly ball when the ballpark's 100 degrees and 5 miles per hour, whatever it is, the dead center, and we're in this minor league ballpark that's kind of a bandbox. I know the Braves have been gutless most of the season, but he's not well positioned for success, and that's what happens. Now you're down to like 5 guys, and Patrick Corbin's like in the middle. Like Patrick Corbin in 2025 is like not one of the 5 worst pitchers on a slate with 14 pitchers. I don't think.
Hey, it's honestly one of the better ones.
That's just where we're at. He's in the pool, if nothing else. I think it's a revenge game too. Didn't he play for the Angels? I feel like he did. I could be making that up. So. I don't know how angry he is or how vengeful he is, but it's did we mention Soroka? Soroka's like got some Ks. He can give you some strikeouts. 26.2% as far as strikeouts this season. That's the second highest K rate on the board. The thing is, you got to pay for him, and like Soroka doesn't feel like I'm just totally not buying it. I know one time he was a bit of a prospect there for Atlanta several years ago. Are you in on Soroka, or is he seems a little overpriced to me? He's fine-ish, but I don't really like it.
Yeah, I mean the price isn't great. Like I think I'd probably rather play Bradley. Probably feel a little bit better about the safety of Erod and even Logan Allen. I mean, I think Soroka's he's been pretty good, but he's been bad against lefties this year, which is not great against this Cardinals team, who does have some big lefties: Gorman, Nootbaar, Burleson, Donovan. So like there are some lefties that can get to him here, and then his CSW is lower against lefties than righties, which isn't great. So I think he's fine. I don't think he's definitely in the pool as well, and he's going to be sub 10% owned, I would guess. We have him at 5%. So like if you're going to just if you're just strictly looking to get different, I think Soroka's fine. Like, the St. Louis offense can definitely go to sleep at long periods of time, but they also don't strike out a ton. So it's not ideal, but certainly safer than some of these other options that are cheaper than him.
Checking out the Discord channel here, Keith. Thankfully, I can breathe a sigh of relief. Nobody got it in one, despite my fabulous clue for today's Sleep Thursday. We'll drop a second clue for the people. Maybe that'll help them get there. Clue number 1, of course, was retired. It's not Dan Marino or Michael Irvin or Derek Carr. He just retired. Keith Kachuk, Scottie Pippen. There's a junior still playing. Randall Cunningham, McGuire, Arthur Ashe. Tobin Heath, I believe, is a soccer player. I'm fairly certain. None of those. It's none of those. It's not Tom Brady or Tim Tebow either. But the second clue is fruit. Let me know in the Discord channel who today's Fleet Athlete is. Fleet Athlete. That is redundant. Fleet Thursday is. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Football, baseball, basketball, hockey, MMA, PGA. I like that Kyle is participating. It is not Mike. It's not like you are incorrect. I see where you're going with that, but that is not accurate. Okay, we shall. I guess a summary as far as pitchers. Yeah, summary. I think yes, we're done with pitchers.
Yeah. Quick summary. Like Strider's going to be the guy that's most popular. I have no problem if people want to stack against him as well and like try to get different if they're willing to accept that they're going to be going against the grain. I mean, but Strider's probably going to be like if you're playing smaller field contests, 75% plus. I think the big question for Strider is if you fade him, do you have to stack against him or like use hitters against him? Because again, like he's probably not going to get to a point where he just has a lackluster game and isn't still in in the winning lineup. If he goes out there and he's not racking up a ton of strikeouts, he probably needs to at least get touched up a little bit. So I think that if you're not going to play Strider, you don't necessarily have to play the A's, but it definitely makes sense to increase your interest in them in lineups with no Strider. And then Brian Woo's up top as well. I think he still has a good ceiling. I think he's just expensive, and the downside is also pretty high for him. Low floor, high ceiling guy though tonight, in my opinion. I think in the mid tier you got Bradley, Erod, Logan Allen, Soroka. Those sort of four guys I think are fine. I personally prefer Bradley and then Allen, and then I think Soroka and Erod are kind of equal. Then you got some cheap options. Do see some ownership on Walker Buehler. I will pass on Walker Buehler.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I think it's maybe just kind of like the Sandy Alcantara thing yesterday, right? Where he was literally the same exact price. Alcantara also got touched up a little bit in that one, but Alcantara was actually at least trending up at least a little bit. Walker Buehler is trending down in a very, very bad way right now. He did have a fine game. Like if you get last week's performance, 10.5 points for him, like you're probably not too offended by that, but the downside is quite significant for Buehler. And then, there's cheap guys. Patrick Corbin, I think you can make a case for him. Cannon, I think you can make somewhat of a case for. 6'4", going against a bad Cleveland team. They are better against righties and lefties, but again, it's just a really bad pitching slate. I'm probably not getting there a ton, but, worth at least mentioning if people were looking to make a punt option below 7K. I think that's probably where I would go, but probably not a place I'm going to all that frequently.
I don't like big game log guy, but like last 6 games for Walker Buehler, 3 of them in the negative. His third best score in his last 6 starts is 2.8 fantasy points on DK. And like we saw this last year. I'm sure you were picking on Buehler last year when he was playing above his head, and then he had a couple great starts in the playoffs, and all of a sudden Boston's like, yeah, we want that.
Yeah.
And who could have saw this contract go in the wrong direction? But 37-year-old Walker Buehler, is he 37? I'm probably rounding up.
I think
he's young, right? He's like 30 or 31.
Yeah.
How old is Walker Buehler?
Yeah, he's 30.
30, yeah. It feels like he's been around longer, just because of all the injuries, I guess.
Yeah.
But his arm is 37.
Yeah. He started pretty young too.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna be we did it again. Discord got it in 2. They got an eagle. We got an eagle here in the Discord. We do have a winner for today's Fleet Thursday. We'll play out the string, of course. But Z0, shout out to Z0. Get yourself a week free of RG Premium. Now, if you want, you can also get scores and odds. It's dealer's choice. Producer Steve will slide in your DMs and hook you up with a week free with your scores and odds, or RG Premium football, baseball. I know all these sports aren't all in play right now. It's not the best time to win, if we're being honest. But it's still free. What are you gonna do? Week free of RG Premium or scores and odds. You get the all the sports, all the bells, all the whistles, the optimizer, the projections. People asking for like umpire data, Dave Potts' article, the expert survey. Too much stuff to mention. SimLabs, of course, all the goods. All right, let's move along and start talking about our hitters. I actually made this list for tiers last week, and I just never used it. So I'm like, I might as well use it today. Since this was in honor the great Larry David had a birthday last week, and it was his birthday, and I'll make a list for Larry David. I don't know if you're not a fan, it's okay. I won't be offended. Are you aware of Larry David? Are you a fan of Larry?
Yeah, I've seen a few of his mostly TikTok clips, honestly.
Watch his shows. What do you watch, the interviews or like clips of Curb?
No, just like clips of whatever shows he did. I honestly don't even know the shows that he did, to be honest.
Oh my god! We got to sit you down and get you some Curb Your Enthusiasm episodes.
I've heard of I've heard of that.
Yeah. He also co-created Seinfeld, but I prefer Curb if it really comes down to it. But it was his birthday, So I didn't rank, Curb episodes or Seinfeld episodes. I just went ahead and power ranked Larry's. So you tell me, Kyle, who's the best Larry? Who's the worst Larry? I made a list. I had some tough calls I had to make, but chat's gonna let me know as well which Larry I may or may not miss. But yeah, he of course Larry David's gonna be number one. Spoiler alerts. Mr. saying Larry Fine, that of course is from the Three Stooges. Larry Fine did not make the board. That was before my time. But Larry Johnson, oh, didn't think of Larry Johnson. Shout out to Larry Johnson. Larry the Lobster, is that from SpongeBob?
Yeah.
Okay, I see. That's what the chat is saying. That's actually producer Steve. Oh, Larry Chipper Jones. I forgot about that. They used to taunt Chipper Jones by saying Larry when he was at the plate. I don't know. It was a weird taunt. But does any Larrys come to mind for you? You got anything? The chat's doing a pretty good job.
Larry Bird, Larry Fitzgerald. It's pretty much the only two that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. Larry David hit the number one hole. Larry Fitzgerald, number two. I guess I made this at the time when TJ was producing. I was Larry Walker. I wanted to shout out TJ Larry Walker from the I guess he's Canadian, I'm pretty sure. At least he played for the Montreal Expos at one time or another. And then in the four hole, another person that's way before everybody's time, Larry King, overrated interviewer. Yeah, he's famously never did research. He's kind of lazy. I wasn't a fan of Larry King. And then, of course, Larry the Cable Guy. And, I don't mean I know it's kind of a low hanging fruit, if you will, but Larry the Cable Guy doesn't quite do it for me. It's not my cup of tea. But if it's yours, have at it. Enjoy yourself. I'm sure he was great in Cars. But that is the board. I power rank the Larrys. Larry David, Larry Fitzgerald, one of the more underrated receivers of all time. Is that fair? Can we say that? Is that fair to say? Tell me otherwise.
Yeah, I'd say he's pretty underrated. Went to a smaller school and then a smaller market franchise, so I can see that.
Really tough dude too. I remember he broke his face and he came back and started. He was playing with a broken face. I'm not even sure what that is. I don't know how to quantify that. But there was a time where he was playing. Yeah. Playing the football players, man. And then Larry Walker in the 3-hole, Larry King in the 4-hole, and then Larry the Cable Guy. Others receiving votes were Larry Sanders. Larry Sanders did not make the board. Larry Zonka, Larry Flint, Leisure Suit Larry did not make the board either. But this was my brainstorming. This was what I was doing before the show, not too long ago. But all right, and Larry Bird did not make the board. I'm sorry for Larry Bird. Yeah, well, I guess he's a 1.
Yeah, probably got to be a 1 or at least a 2. So
yeah. Not a 1 when it comes to being a father, but that's another conversation. Do yourself a Google on that one. But taking shots at Larry Bird, I'm sure the chat's going to love that. All right, Seattle and the Yankees, 9.5 total. It's Marcus Stroman versus Brian Wu. So pretty big totals on both sides here in Yankee Stadium. Stroman doesn't really have it anymore these days. Cal Raleigh, big dumper. Just a spectacular big spend on this slates if you can get there. Watching the Yankees the other day, by the way, the broadcast, they were talking about him called the big dumper, and I guess shout out to the director. They zoomed all the way in on his butt. It was it was almost exploitive. It was it was gratuitous, but they zoomed right in on it. But okay, the Mariners and the Yankees. How do you feel they line up as far as the tiers tonight?
Yeah, in terms of the Mariners, they're going to go in that Larry Fitzgerald tier. I like them quite a bit in this spot. Yankees are going to go. I'll put Yankees in the Walker tier. Kind of debated putting them in the Fitzgerald tier. Honestly, I think that they do still have plenty of upside, although I do like Brian Wu quite a bit as a pitcher and as a guy who can do a good job at limiting power against righties, which I think is important. Obviously, he's going to face a lot of lefties, but obviously Aaron Judge is going to be a big part of this lineup. So, I think that you can still stack the Yankees, but I do give a slight edge to Brian Wu, and the spy's been really good this year. And then for Seattle, the only really thing that you have to worry about with Stroman is ground balls. But the one thing that I found interesting against lefties this season is Stroman's just not throwing that sinker against left-handed hitting, which I think might be more of a concern for his feeling about the pitch, right? It was a pitch that he led with last year, throwing 30% of the time. He's throwing that at the fourth highest rate compared to all of his other pitches so far against lefties. I think that's a problem for Stroman because, again, he needs that to be able to get the ball on the ground. He's still throwing that pitch often against righties, 60% of the time. I think that makes sense. But, in terms of these lefties here, if he's not able to get the ball on the ground, he's going to be in trouble, especially against guys like Cal Raleigh, who has massive amounts of power. And by the way, a 42% fly ball rate. So, Seattle, I do think looks pretty solid here against a Stroman that is, I think, struggling. I think typically I don't think Stroman is a bad real life pitcher, but in this current state that he's in, where he clearly has no confidence and maybe working back from that injury a little bit more, I do think he's just not in a good spot right now. So I think he's definitely worth stacking against right now.
Somebody asked in chat as far as Seattle's bullpen and how tired they are. I just pulled the numbers. They didn't pitch on Monday. Monday looks like either it's a complete game. It was most likely an off day, so everybody rested Monday. And then nobody's worked. Nobody's pitched on back-to-back days. And their best pitchers, their closer and their setup man, have not pitched since Sunday at the earliest. So their best pitchers are really well rested, for what it's worth. As far as Seattle, they're pretty well rested going into the game tonight. Rays and Red Sox, 9.5 total. Walker Buehler throwing baseballs against Taj Bradley. Did want to check the weather in this one because I think it wasn't great weather earlier today for hitting in Fenway. Maybe that changed. Checking out Kevin Roth's Weather Edge tool. Yeah, 134 games, 67 is the temp. We got a pretty big sample, 134 games. Wind blowing in at 5 miles per hour. From basically center field. Home runs have taken a hit at 19.2%. Runs down at 5.3%. Not saying you can't play offense here, obviously, but just not the best environment, not the most ideal environment for Bradley and Buehler, the Rays, and the Red Sox. The Red Sox have heated up, but that, in part, probably has a lot to do with facing the Rockies. What do you got? Rays, Red Sox.
You mentioned hitting weather, not ideal. Doesn't matter. Walker Buehler sucks. I'm putting the Rays in the Larry Fitzgerald tier. They look pretty good tonight. They got going a little bit yesterday against the Tigers in that bullpen. Obviously, Reese Olson pitched fine, but then they got to the bullpen a little bit. I think they finished with 7 or 8 runs. When you look at Walker Buehler, really struggles with power against righties, which I think is nice because you have Yandy Diaz here. You have Junior Caminero. Christopher Morel is in the lineup, which I think is nice. But the big thing about the Rays is even when you have some guys in your stacks that might not have a ton of power, right? Simpson, Walls, even Kim to an extent, they might not have power, but they also have a very good stolen base upside, and these guys are not afraid to run. So I think you can form some really strong stacks with the Rays. So I like them in that two tier. And then for the Red Sox, I actually think that they are a pretty noteworthy GPP option. I'm going to put them in the Walker tier. I do prefer Taj Bradley, but I also think I'm kind of just talking myself into Taj Bradley because of how bad the slate is from a pitching perspective. Mm-hmm. And that is usually, in my experience, when you find the best tournament stacks. So I'm going to like the Red Sox a little bit today, even though I do still think that Taj Bradley is fine, but I do think he's pretty hit or miss, hot or cold. And I think he'll struggle with some power, especially against this team that has a ton of lefties, right? Duran, Anthony, Abreu, Mayer down there at the bottom of the order. So I think there's plenty of guys that can get to him. So I like the Red Sox a little bit. And I'm sort of kind of coming on them a little bit more as I talk about the slate.
My favorite tournament play in this game is Junior Caminero. With the monster there, Walker Buehler has been reverse splitsy this year. A 267 ISO versus righties, 345. Woba, just horrific. And Caminero, 255 ISO versus righties, 345 Woba. He is in the home run derby. I was looking at the list. Big Dumper's in it. I'm trying to remember who it is now. O'Neal
Cruz in it.
Buxton, he got a hit in the hand the other day. I assume he's going to be fine. I think it was just a contusion. Yeah. But it's shaping up to be. I'm probably going to tune in or at least bet on it. I'm going to bet on it and just kind of keep an eye on it. But it should be. It's in Atlanta this year. Is that where they're at? I think it's Atlanta.
Yes. And Acuna is also in. I don't know if you mentioned him.
Rooker, Acuna. Yeah, it should be
James Wood.
Yeah, this could be his coming out party. This could be his coming. I don't think the country is not aware of him. They're not following the Washington Nationals, but he's. Yeah. I've been touting him as like this. He could be the next, if there's such a thing. It's unfair to say, like a left-handed Aaron Judge. Like if there's a next like Aaron Judge, it could be James Wood.
He's a monster.
Yeah, he's really, really good. Okay, let's scoot along. We can drop that third clue for Fleet Thursday. We already have a winner. We'll play it out for fun. It is man. Clue number 1 is retired, fruit, and man. Again, we already do have a winner, but we can play it out just for fun. Why not? Sure. Cleveland and Chicago. I don't think we have a Cleveland lineup just yet. Man, it's just J-Ram every single night. And it's so hard to just like not pitch to this guy. Just don't pitch to him. Okay. He's just very clearly the best player on this team. He doesn't really have much protection behind him. And, Carlos Santana or Schneemann, depending on. Logan Allen is going to be reasonably popular as an SB2. If no other reason, like you said, you got to roster 2 on DK. You got to roster 2 out of 14. And it gets rough pretty fast. And we know these White Sox are not to be feared. Again, no lineup just yet. Should be coming out soon enough. If we don't have it, crunch time we'll have it. 7:40 start time. Cannon versus Allen. Basically a coin toss here, according to Vegas. I think you were talking about yesterday. We talked about this for a while, how bad this Cleveland offense has been. They've been shut out like 5 times in their last 12 games or so. Yeah. They're much worse against lefties, to be fair, I guess, but they're still not great. Guardians, White Sox.
Yeah, still not great, but I do believe they've won 3 games in a row now, and they beat the Astros 3 times. I know they're dealing with some injuries, but baseball is a huge swing sport, right? Like you can go through cold streaks, hot streaks significantly in baseball, so that's worth mentioning. Like maybe they're finding something. You mentioned they're better against righties. That's a very, very evident with this lineup, especially with like some of their ancillary guys, Nolan Jones, Schneemann, even Naylor, Angel Martinez. So I think that this is a team that I don't mind stacking in this spot against Cannon, who I think is pretty bad. But there's still a team that is underwhelming. So I'll put them in the Fitzgerald tier. I know that the matchup is like worthy of being a team in that top tier, but since it's Cleveland, I'll give them a slight hint there. And then on the other side, Logan Allen, I actually would not have mind stacking against him if he was going to be more popular. And honestly, I was kind of hoping to see a better lineup for the splits against him. He's actually been worse against lefties so far this season. It's not a huge deal because he was bad against righties last year too, so I do think that's going to even out as time goes on. But I just don't think he's popular enough to really go hard against stacking against him. So I will put the Sox in the King tier there. Yeah, Eric's saying I clearly don't like to have fun. I'm pretty disappointed in that, Eric.
Based on what? Why do you not like to have fun?
Because he loves Cannon tonight. That's why. He also did.
I mean,
Eric liked Senzatelo last night, so we'll put that out there.
He does like the inverse of whatever ownership is, and yeah. I mean, he's playing low ball when nobody else is playing low ball. But every once in a while, goofy things happen in baseball. Yeah, I know he's been to I think he's been to a live final. I think he's talked about it before, but you don't have to have every position the player with the most extreme risk, the lowest ownership. It's okay to have a little bit of chalk. It's fine.
He said he wants to play Sears and Cannon in the same lineup.
Is that fun though? I don't think that's fun. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we have different definitions of fun.
Maybe he's just trying to win in the most ridiculous way possible for like a good screen. It's like one of those things like where those YouTube golfers, they can't just play like regular golf anymore. They have to like do absurd things. So maybe Eric is just that good at DFS that he's just trying to do these trick shots against us.
I'm not in that's not in my algorithm. I get goofy things in my YouTube algorithm. What am I missing out on? Is it sort of like Top Golf stuff, or they're like doing weird things on the golf course that I'm missing out?
They book an entire golf course and do weird things. Like I've seen people hitting shots with like kitchen pans, and like they'll like spin a wheel and like have like this unruly item to hit a shot with, and they play it like that. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
I've seen when I guess they have certain days dedicated to it where the golf course, they change the holes and they make them huge and you play like a kickball or something. Like they have all different versions to get people out. I'm not aware of this. Or I guess Frolf obviously is a thing too. Speaking of hits on golf course, do you see the video of the former Florida Panther enforcer out there in Canada?
That was awesome. I saw somebody made like an oil canvas like painting of it, and I want to buy that. I want to buy that so bad because I think that is just absolutely so funny.
what is that guy's life like? The guy, I think it's happened in Canada. I'm pretty certain it happened in Canada. And like, I'm not advocating violence, but like, if you have it coming, the guy had it coming. What
Yeah,
we
100%.
saw, he was asking for it.
I think the fact that he got thrown into the pond is
Yeah.
overlooked, which is I think that was the funniest part because like he like went after this guy and got thrown into a pond.
So
That's
he
just
shows up to
hilarious.
work the next day. Like, do you bring it up to him? Does he talk about? Does he
Oh,
get it? Does he clear the air? Does he
that
pretend
guy's
like
got to
it never happened?
move. He has to move
So where? Like, it's
somewhere without the internet. Apparently, that's. I mean, the guy at least had a beard, so maybe shave the head, shave the beard, move. That's a good way to maybe start over. Maybe he needs to go into like the protective custody, get a new identity, all that stuff.
Here we go. Look at producer Steve's all over it. Do they get the part where he throws him into the drink?
Not in that gift, but that one's pretty good. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
You golf? Did you ever? What's the closest you ever got? You ever? How I don't golf. I've golfed like twice with my friends, screwing around. I don't. It's not my game. Never was. Does it ever get to? Did it ever come to fisticuffs? You ever get into a fight over like somebody playing through or hitting at you as you're? You got a story, an anecdote?
I mean, there is one story that sticks out, but
Yeah.
I don't think it would have ever gotten to a fight or to a physical altercation. But we played this one course, and the first two holes were like downhill, so it was kind of like blind after the tee shot. So I guess on the first hole, I accidentally hit up into a guy. It just kind of rolled down to his feet, and then the next hole, same thing, blind tee shot, and my buddy, his shot. He's not very good. He wasn't expecting to hit it that far anyway, and he did. And this guy was just not happy. So they like waited on the green for us.
Oh,
and then
man.
and then they got into the cart, but they didn't drive the cart away. So like we just hit, like trying to hit the ball onto the green because we assumed that they were just like, we didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And then my buddy didn't hit the green. He ended up left a little short. He wasn't even really that close to the cart, but the guy just absolutely lost it. He's like, "Oh, you hit into us 3 times in a row." And so yeah, he came back. He drove away and then came back to yell at us some more. So that was, but I don't think it would have led to a fight. He was definitely outnumbered. So
Yeah. There's certain general courtesy rules that, like, you're not just you're supposed to play fast enough and not hold the line, but I guess there's different grace periods that I'm not fully aware of. But you weren't necessarily breaking one of the written rules, or maybe your friend was by hitting it. He didn't know he was going to hit that far. He's too good that day.
It was. I think all of the first 2 shots were definitely accidental. The third one, we were like, all right, he's not moving, so he's clearly okay being there. So my friend hit. And so yeah, maybe the third one was a little too far, but we also didn't know the first 2 shots even happened where it came close to him. So yeah.
And funny enough, there actually is a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode based off this where Larry does hit somebody.
Oh, I've seen I've seen that on TikTok.
I think he had like a back issue and his back was feeling better, or he bought like a brand new club and he didn't realize the power he would have with a new club. Okay, moving along. Crunch time coming in 20 minutes or so, plenty of time, just a 7-gamer, which allots for these little side conversations. Let's see, we have 4 games to go. Crunch time, by the way, TastefulTides, Tim Buell, Cheap and Relatives, Kevin Roth, and we have Derek Carty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz. Mike Soroka throwing baseball. Baseball's today against Miles Michaelis. It's the Cards and the Nats, the aforementioned James Wood, who will be in the Homer Derby. I presume he's an all-star. I didn't look at the all-star list, but I presume he's got to be, right?
Yes,
man,
better be. Yeah, he is. Yep.
This Washington lineup is so bad, man. It's like if you combined Washington's like 4 through 9 and Cleveland's 4 through 9, you'd still have nothing, right? So some of these teams are just no depth whatsoever. I know they're dealing with some injuries. Maybe Dylan Cruz can be a thing one of these days. But James Wood, C.J. Abrams, and then we have some cards that are certainly in the conversation. Taking on Mike Soroka, good K rate this year, but not necessarily somebody I'm afraid of. 9 total. Wind is blowing out. Looks like to left center, 4 miles per hour. 90 is the temp, so it's going to be hot in the Lou. Cardinals and Nationals. What do you got?
Yeah, for the Cardinals, I get that they do have some upside, but I do think Soroka is still fine at limiting power, and the lineup isn't necessarily one that I'm like itching to stack here, even though they have a pretty sizable team total. What's their team total at? Yeah, up near 5.
Almost near 5.
Yeah, so that's a pretty good number for them. Going to put them in the Walker category, though. I do think you can maybe make a case for them being in the Fitzgerald tier based on that team total. But, I mean, I don't really bet many under on team totals just because I feel like there's not a ton of wiggle room there unless you're starting against a good pitcher. But I think I would probably lean on the under for that one. I actually like the Nationals more as a stack in this spot. So they're also going to be in that Walker tier. But I do like them quite a bit here. To your point, you kind of get a little weak spots at the end of the lineup, which isn't ideal. But up top, I think you got some really good options. Abrams, Wood, Josh Bell, Nathaniel Lowe. All these guys are lefties who I think have great profiles against Michaelis, who struggles against lefties. And then you also have Dalen Lyle down here, who hasn't shown him a ton as a pro yet, but he had some good stolen base upside in the minors. So I think that could potentially translate eventually. Here's a former second-round pick, so I don't mind taking some stabs on him as well as a value option. So, Washington, I'm liking quite a bit here. Honestly, let's even bump them into the Fitzgerald tier. We'll put Washington up there in tier 2, probably 4th in that tier as of now, but still a team that I like quite a bit tonight.
Is Lyle 2K? He's 2.8. Yeah, okay. And as far as first base, you can only roster one, right? You have Lowe or Bell. You have a preference amongst those two?
I probably prefer Lowe, but yeah, I'll go Lowe.
Yeah, I mean, looking at Michaelis on the season, 232 ISO versus lefties, 369 WOBA. He's not going to walk you, 4.4%. I guess he can, but probably won't. And he's probably not going to strike you out either, 15.8%. So we like that, especially for someone like James Wood, who will. He is prone to the strikeout, but probably not against Michaelis. Okay, drop that fourth clue today for Fleet Thursday. The fourth clue is going to be, let me pull up my list. Oh, it's Brooklyn. Retired fruit man and Brooklyn. That is our fourth clue for Fleet Thursday. Theoretically, you would be in the Discord channel answering, tell me what athlete I'm talking about. We already have a winner, but I just wanted to fill it out, play out the game, give the people a still chance to, can't get yourself RBG Premium, but it's good practice going forward. Braves and Athletics. I think we just got the Braves, and we got both these lineups just came out. Butler, Rooker, Kurtz, Andahar. So that's different. Who's he playing for? Wilson's out still, right? Yeah, Wilson is out. I think he's the starting shortstop for the American League, if I'm not mistaken. Assuming his injury.
Witt.
He's over Bobby Witt. He's in there? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. They have the weaker catcher, too. It's Wins. No Bangaliers and no Wilson. So it's a weaker Athletics lineup. It's Butler, Rooker, Kurtz, Andahar in the 4-hole. Soderstrom, Muncy, Wins, Giloff, and Clark. So that falls off pretty hard, too. Atlanta, I think that is as expected. Acuna, double dong last night. Matt Olson, Riley, Murphy in the 4-hole revenge game. Also, he's in the block, allegedly, which wouldn't be surprising because Atlanta's been scuffling. And you know what? They have Baldwin, who's a pretty good catcher. Why not get the kid some more starts? Profar, Ozuna, Albies, who's horrendous, Michael Harris, and Nick Allen, who, again, I refuse to believe. Watch the game and tell me he's 5'8". The umpires are taller than him. I'm telling you. I'm going to do an investigation. This is what I'm doing over the All-Star break. I'm going to officially find out how tall. He's lying. He's not 5'8". I don't believe it. Okay. Braves and A's. This game looks awesome. 10.5 is the total. The weather, we're talking triple digits, at least to start the game. 100 here in this ballpark. That's already advantageous for hitters. Wind is also blowing out to center field. 6 team total now for Atlanta. Kind of a weekend lineup for the A's, which I guess strengthens Strider. But, he's already going to be chalky enough. Where do you have the Braves and the A's?
Yeah, honestly, the lineup. So for the A's, you take out Langlier's 25% strikeout rate, and then Wilson, who's a low strikeout guy. So Andahar for Wilson, both low strikeout guys. Langlier's for Wins for Langlier's, a little bit of a strikeout decrease there, but now you're just looking at guys who are just significantly less power and prowess. I mean, Wins has some decent numbers against righties over the last couple of years, but I think that's mostly small sample stuff. So, that honestly, it's a bummer, but I think it makes me less interested in the A's, put them in the Walker category. I still think if you're looking to get different for stacking the A's, you have a couple of guys here, right? You have Butler, Rooker, Kurtz, Soderstrom. I think all these guys are pretty interesting. So still think you can build a contrarian stack with those guys, but I do think the lineup took somewhat of a hit. And then, Braves up there in the Larry David tier, number one. Like the way that they put out their lineup as well. I know you got a couple of weak guys at the bottom with potentially maybe the three smallest or at least shortest guys in a row in lineups: Albies, Eli White, and Nick Allen. Surely Eli White can't be much taller, right? Let's see his height.
I'm seeing Harris, by the way. Did I say White? Because I'm seeing Harris, which is probably not good for he's a good defensive player. So I think this is a little nitpick, but ideally I wouldn't want him in the outfield if I'm hitting against him, right? Just like I wouldn't want Clark in the outfield if I'm hitting against him on the other side. Both those guys are the better center fielders. But they have been sitting Harris against lefties because the bat's been kind of dead this year. But they are giving him the start tonight. What did you come up? Harris is what, 5'9"? I'm going to say 5'9".
Surprisingly, so I looked up Eli White. He's 6'2", which also seems maybe like a lie.
Maybe there's the entire Atlanta organization. Matt Olson's listed as like 7'6".
Yeah, and then they're saying
they're all lying. They're all grading on a
Michael
curve.
Harris 6 feet tall. Matt Olson 6'5". Maybe Matt Olson 6'5". But yeah, maybe they're just hyping things up. I remember when I was on the JV basketball team, I was like 5'2" as a sophomore, and they listed me as 5'6", and like I'm like, no one's gonna believe this. Like, I get you maybe want to give me an inch or two. I know that's important, but 4 inches, that's a lot. That's a lot.
You can get away with 5'4", and like, okay, maybe people won't question it, but 5'6", now you're just, and that's kind of egregious.
Yeah, 100%.
The chat was asking about, I think you hit a couple of these yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, some ladders. You were talking about laddering the Houston pitcher, if I'm not mistaken, and I'm pretty sure it got there. It got 7. He gave up a couple homers, or at least one homer, to J-Ram, of course. I think, right? This happened yesterday?
J-Ram and I think Martinez.
Yes, but otherwise he was spectacular because Cleveland is horrific. Do you happen to have, if you don't force it if you don't have it, but if you happen to have any ladders on layaway, do you have somebody that you're thinking about, or anybody you put up on scores and odds?
Yeah, funny story. The two ladders that I talked about maybe liking yesterday were Schlittler and Walter. Didn't have the full confidence to put either of those in. They both got up to 7 strikeouts. I did ladder Evans. He didn't even hit his base prop, so that was a fun little what could have been night. But ladders tonight, I don't have a ton. I actually didn't like many. Most of the times my ladders come from pitching props, and it's a really bad pitching slate. So and Strider's already up at 7.5, so probably not going to have any pitching ladders tonight. But who knows? Maybe we can get some maybe hits, runs, and RBIs ladder. Eric wants a Sears K ladder.
Of course he does. I'm seeing. I meant to look. I saw that Elliot De La Cruz stole a base here versus the Marlins. I don't know if you keep track of that, but the Marlins are on like a record pace of giving up stolen bases and not catching runners. They are really, really bad at holding on runners. Both the pitcher and the battery and the catchers, everybody involved in the Marlins, more so than everybody in the league by like, I don't know, 15 or 20 stolen bases. So something to put in your back pocket and monitor. Players getting stolen bases against Miami. Okay. Texas and the Angels. Kohanowitz versus Patrick Corbin. No Texas lineup just yet. Both these teams have a 5 total. Feels like a good spot as far as pivots away from the Braves. In my estimation, these are two of my favorite teams. I know Corbin's having I don't want to say resurgence, but he's certainly been better this year than he has been in previous seasons. I thought he was full dunzo. He had that monster contract with Washington, and I think he's playing for the league minimum now. And he's pitching, pretty well for when he's not getting paid. And he was getting paid handsomely and wasn't very good. But Angels and Rangers, I think both these offenses look pretty good tonight.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you were going to look to stack against Patrick Corbin at all this year, this could be a pretty good spot to do it. Obviously, I've been kind of waiting, honestly, all year for a spot where Corbin was going to be popular to where, he maybe had a good stack against him. I don't think he's going to be popular tonight, but looks like they're loading up on righties. He'll see one lefty tonight. Lamont Wade's the only lefty. He doesn't hit lefties all that great, but all these righties, you look at pretty much 1 through 7, maybe other than Moncada, and they all hit lefties pretty good. Rengifo is more of a contact guy. Mike Trout has had some bad numbers against lefties over the last couple of years, but mostly small samples of only 63 plate appearances.
Yeah.
So not too worried about that. So yeah, I think it's a good stack. Angels will go there in the Fitzgerald tier. Again, I don't hate if you wanted to use Corbin because this Angels team does strike out a lot as well. But I certainly think there is some power in this lineup that could go against Patrick Corbin. And then Rangers, they're going to be up there in that top tier. I liked them yesterday. Took their over on their team total yesterday. They got there pretty easily without many home runs. I think Higashioka hit a home run. Maybe one of the Seager had a home run that somehow wasn't a home run. I don't know if you saw that. He had the ball somehow get robbed and then bounce back off of
Turner Ward.
What's that? Taylor Ward.
Yeah. It was Ward in the outfield.
Yeah.
Kind of sort of brought it back, or at least brought it back, but then he didn't catch it either. So, yeah.
Yeah, but this is a great spot for Seager, who has been hot. If we're talking ladders, this could be a spot to ladder Seager's either total bases or his hits, runs, RBIs. I think this is a great matchup for him. Conowitz, 60% hard contact against lefties, 50% ground ball rate, which isn't bad. But when you look at guys who can get the ball up in the air, pretty much all these guys have above average fly ball or line drive rates against right-handed pitching. So I think it's a really good spot for a Rangers team that's also getting a little bit healthier. Jonah Heim also looks pretty good as a value option as well. So, Rangers are looking pretty good tonight.
I didn't know you could ladder total bases. My sports book, unless I can't find it, I look for hits, runs, errors, not errors, hits, runs, and RBI combined.
Yeah,
and I can never find it for whatever reason. I'm in Florida. The only sports books available here is the Hard Rock. It's a monopoly here, and I don't think they offer it unless I'm just missing it. But that seems like a fun laddering hitters. I didn't know that was a thing. But,
I know you can do it on FanDuel and DraftKings. I haven't looked at any of the other books, but I know you can on those too. So, yeah, I'll look at Seager's numbers right now.
He's been, like you said, incredibly hot of late. If you're a big fan of hot streaks, he's been on fire for sure. Yeah. And Kahanowicz doesn't seem like the kind of guy that's going to slow him down. The fifth clue is strolling. It's scrolling too. It's a walking. The fifth clue is calm for Fleet Thursday. Retired fruit man Brooklyn calm. I'll explain that in a second. Why the clues are what they are, and if you haven't quite figured out who it is, we'll talk about that. But the last game that we must talk about, I think we just got a San Diego lineup. Erod taking on Randy Vasquez. Randy Vasquez, one of the luckiest pitchers in all of baseball. When you look at his advanced metrics, we got Tatis, Arise, Machado, left on left. Gavin Sheets is in the 4-hole. Bogarts, Merrill, Iglesias, Cronenworth, and Maldonado doing the catching. Let's see. Carroll, Marte, Perdomo, Naylor, Suarez, Gurriel, McCarthy, Thomas, and Herrera on the other side. Arizona's the slight favorite here. 4.4 team total taking on Randy Vasquez, who's just pitching better than his metrics suggest. Corbin Carroll seems like a spectacular stud that might not get played a heck of a lot, just kind of the nature of the slate. You tell me, where are you putting the Diamondbacks and the Padres?
Yeah, the Padres are tough because they're really bad against lefties. But I also think that Erod is super volatile. So we'll put the Padres in the Walker tier. I honestly, I wish I could get around to liking the Padres more. Liked them a little bit last night. Sheets hit a home run, but other than that, didn't get any production from them. But Padres will go there in the third tier. Diamondbacks also like them quite a bit here. Vasquez is horrible. He has to be the luckiest pitcher in baseball. Him having a sub-4 ERA it would be like me waking up tomorrow and being like 6'8". It's that much of a miracle. It has to stop eventually. So I'm going to put the Diamondbacks in the second tier there, in the Fitzgerald tier. I think there's a couple weird scenarios where this 4.5 implied team total I think seems low. So I'm probably going to bet they're over on their team total, but I'm thinking this is a team that I would probably like in that top tier. But that Vegas number is sort of putting me on a little bit of a pause there. A couple of the righties in the lineup, Suarez, Gurriel. Vasquez, for what it's worth, has been good against righties, but just horrible against lefties. So prefer the lefties there, but certainly not saying to leave Suarez out of stacks. But yeah, they'll go there in the 2 tier.
I just checked amongst qualified pitchers, and I guess Vasquez has not thrown enough innings. He threw 90. I guess 90 is not enough for qualified pitchers, but has 5.71 Sierra, would be the highest Sierra amongst qualified pitchers. Sierra more forgiving than ERA. There's only 3 pitchers that are qualified that have above a 5. They are as follows: Eric Fetty, Bailey Falter, and Mitchell Parker. Fetty is a 5.5 Sierra. And again, Vasquez at a 5.71. An xFIP 5.8. His BABIP is 245. His left on base is 80%. His homer to fly ball is 9%. He's getting barreled too hard at 11%. He's walking almost as many people as he's striking out. We talk about it all the time. He is really, really due for a visit from the regression monster. I'll go ahead and recap the board. If you're joining us late, I did power rank Larry's. Tier number 1 is Larry David. 2 teams hanging out with Larry David. It is the Atlanta Braves and the Texas Rangers. Larry Fitzgerald. By the way, I was corrected in the chat. I think that was Anquan Bolden that played with the broken face. I got the teammates confused. I'm pretty sure it was Bolden who did that. But Fitzgerald was a tough dude that played every single game. Seattle, Tampa, Cleveland, Washington. We have the Angels as well as the D-backs hanging out with Larry Walker. That's the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Cards, the Athletics, San Diego. You don't like you're basically all the offenses are in play to some degree. Larry King does have one team hanging out with him. That is the Chicago White Sox. And Larry the Cable Guy, he's all by himself. There's no teams hanging out with Larry the Cable Guy. Crunch time going to be here in just a second. Kyle, do you have some homers for me? Feel free to be as ambitious you want to be. If you want to go like one up top, one in the middle, one down low, however you want to do it. Who is going yard tonight?
Yeah, I mean, one up top, I think Cal Raleigh. I know he didn't homer yesterday, but I don't even know if he counts as up top. He's like above up top. He's like plus 160 to hit a home run tonight. So I'll throw that name out there, but I won't use that as a direct pick. For the guy up top, I'll take Corey Seager. Talked about him quite a bit already. I think he's in a great spot. For, I guess, a mid-tier pick, this guy might be upper mid-tier, maybe even top tier, but I like him a lot tonight, so I'm going to name him. I know you mentioned him as well. Junior Caminero, he had a moonshot, an absolute missile out of Comerica Park last night. He can easily do that again here with that short green monster. So I like Caminero. And then for a little bit of a longer shot play, I'm assuming that this is pretty long shot considering he hasn't played in a while. I don't know what his home run odds are. I know he's cheap, but looks like Kyle Manzardo is back in the lineup. I'll take him to hit a home run tonight off of Jonathan Cannon.
Let's see if I can pull that up. Yeah, I feel like we haven't seen him in a bit, Manzardo, but yeah,
I believe this is his first game back.
Let's see. Do we have odds for this? These sites don't. It's not on Scores and Odds just yet. Maybe we can get a quick peek before we yield to crunch time. Or I'll drop it in the chat.
Plus 450 on DraftKings right now.
That's not a great number, is it? I want a better number than that.
Yeah, it's okay. Not great, but I mean, I think that for a DFS play, plus 20 or 2,900 plus 450 to homer, I think he's a pretty strong DFS play. It does suck that he would take up first base, but yeah.
They're starting with they have all lefties. Is that right? Everybody's a lefty for Cleveland tonight? Yeah, everybody's a lefty or a switch hitter. Yeah. There's no official righties in that lineup. All right, so the reveal for Fleet Thursday, clue number 1, the player is retired. Clue number 2 was a double clue. Clue number 2 was fruit. This person was famously a part of the Banana Boat crew, which right now you know who that is. It's one of 4 people, right? So banana's a fruit, and then they went to college at the Orange, which is also a fruit.
I also saw someone in chat say he played in the Big Apple. If you want to add that too.
Yeah, look at that. Yeah, I didn't realize somebody. No wonder why somebody got it in too.
That's why I guessed Mike Piazza, Big Apple and tomato.
Yes, Italian. Clue number 3, man. I think he was right before they changed the Syracuse Orange. They were the Syracuse Orangemen right after he left. So that was the reference there. Also, he's a man. Brooklyn. He was born in Brooklyn, and he hosts a podcast called 7 p.m. in Brooklyn, which I believe is the Kid Miro is a part of that, according to Google. And clue number 5, Calm. Calm is just like Mellow. Carmelo Anthony.
I was wondering where that one connected, but yeah, that was a good one.
There you go. That is today's Fleet Thursday. Tune in tomorrow for Film Friday. All right, let's go ahead. Let's bring in crunch time. And Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. We have Derek Carty, as well as TastefulTides Tim Buell. Here comes crunch time right now. What up, Roth? Happy Friday.
Kyle, do we get those tips frosted? Are those some frosted tips over there?
God, no. This is natural blonde.
Oh, all right. You look good, man. You look like a K-pop star or something with that hair, but you look good.
In the summer, it gets a little bit blonder with the sun. So yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we're a little jealous, aren't we, Kevin? A little jealous.
You go outside, Kyle?
Yeah.
I try to. I got to force myself to go out there, crawl outside for a little while, and then get tired out.
That sounds terrible.
What else does Kevin know about K-pop stars? I need to know more because I feel like you don't have a lot in that arsenal.
Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. I lived in Koreatown in Houston for a little bit, so I know more than most, but not much.
All right. Carty, he's definitely got some K-pop stuff on his in his iTunes. Yes?
Sorry, not a K-pop guy, unfortunately.
Carty
Dude, no one
loves
uses
BTS.
iTunes anymore.
I was making a joke. That's why.
Okay. You never
I
know.
could have said Spotify.
That's true, yeah.
Tim's got iTunes. He's got an iPod.
No, I don't.
Oh.
I've literally never
play
owned
along.
an iPod in my entire life.
Well, you missed out. It was a good run.
Yeah.
It was it had a good 5 years. But it's kind of a it served its purpose.
You never had an iPod?
No, never had an iPod.
Did you have a
I didn't
Zoom
either.
or something?
I had a Yahoo jukebox or something like that. It was like an iPod, but it was made by Yahoo. And I was never a big fan of the scrolly wheel. It was annoying.
Were you a Walkman guy?
I did have a Walkman.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
With
you're
the
old enough,
anti-skip technology, that was when they got good.
if you're old enough and of a certain age, not necessarily Walkmans, but remember the CD player that you'd play you'd play just one CD, and it would skip sometimes when you're moving.
Oh, that's what I
Those
was
first
talking
world
about.
problems.
It was a Discman.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Well, that's not called a Walkman. A Walkman is before that. Yeah.
Oh, all right. I was thinking of that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the worst when it skipped. I mean, what are you going to do? First world problems, right? Kyle, anything else before we step aside and make way for Crunch Time? Crunch Time has 50 minutes and 7 games. They have the work cut out for them. We'll see. Weather-wise, I guess we're clean. Roth, tell me how amazing it is. Obviously, we don't have a weather edge. We'll have it next year. How amazing, could you put it in words, the weather tonight in Sacramento?
It's like 8 out of 10, 7.5 out of 10. It's good. It's very good.
It's 100. Is it 100?
It is 100, but the winds are just kind of light. It's not as good as Coors or Wrigley with winds blowing out. It's good. It's good. It's not like, oh my God.
But compounded with the ballpark as is,
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
All right. So I shouldn't be excited about it. Is that your time?
I mean, it's not like, oh my God. It's just pretty good.
I think we've been spoiled by the Wrigley days to where that's the 10. So
Yeah, exactly.
You can't compete with that when you're bunting the ball over the fence. Just silliness. All right. Kyle, let's step aside. Let's get out of here and make way for crunch time. You got TastefulTides Tim, Derek Carty, CEO of the Bat and the Blitz, and Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Roth, it is all yours. Take it away.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It's crunch time. It's two of the sharpest minds in the biz. We got TastefulTides, Tim, in the house. What up, Tim? How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Always great to see you guys. Kind of excited to break down the slate. I think this is a pretty decent slate for both cash and GPPs, but I'm definitely interested to hear what Derek has to say for pitching in cash games today, mainly SB2.
Okay, well, with that, we'll toss it over. We got Derek Carty in the house as well. You don't have to dive in yet, but Carty, how are you, and how do you feel about the slate?
Nah, I don't feel good about it at all. I don't want to talk about it. Don't want to be here.
Yeah. Hey, here's the good news. There's only like a handful of shows until the All-Star break. And I think we're all kind of at that point where, we're ready for the break. It's coming up next week, I believe, right?
It is. Yeah, it starts on Monday, Home Run Derby. I never get tired of baseball, but this pitching slate is just it's not good.
One of those. Okay, that's good to know. Well, we will dive into that momentarily. I do this comment from unreleased lo-fi music says, Kevin's the kind of guy that cheers when his toast pops up. I don't know if that's an insult or a compliment, but yeah, I'm enthusiastic. I occasionally do. I'll own it. Let's dive into what we're doing. Oh, weather. We got to talk about the weather. We already mentioned the hitting weather in Sacramento is nice. 7 or 8 out of 10. It's very good. I like it. And then there is Chicago. Carty, are you mad that Kyle got all the hair love? Because you kind of know.
I mean, I get my share. You gotta share the love a little bit. You gotta give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, a little mad. If Chicago's the one spot where things could go wrong, was it 2 nights ago? The game started, everything was dry, and then a shower popped up, and I was like, it'll probably be fine. And then literally 15 minutes later, there were high water rescues going on in the city. That's it was insane. That's, probably not going to happen, but is again in that 5% chance of happening range. I think you just do whatever you're going to do, and that includes even playing pitchers. Although the only truly risky thing you could do is play pitchers tonight in Chicago. I don't know how much we want them. I'm not going to tell you can't do it, but that's the only thing that has a decent chance of going wrong. So outside of that, do whatever you want weather-wise. Carty, let's talk about it. What are we doing here pitcher-wise? I know you don't like
playing a guy in that Sacramento weather game. That's what we're doing.
I was going to say we do want a guy in that game.
Oh no, that's not good.
Spencer Strider is the top pitcher on the slate by a lot. He has not been the same guy since coming back from injury this year. His stuff plus is way down. The velo's been trending up a little bit. The stuff plus has been trending up a little bit his last few starts, but he's not a guy you feel comfortable about right now. But he's facing the A's, who there are a lot of strikeouts in this lineup, and the weather is not good for him. But when you look at who else is on the slate, it's like, oh, okay, I guess he is the best guy because the only other guys that actually have talent, like any sort of reasonable level of talent on this slate, are Brian Wu, who's facing the Yankees, and maybe Eduardo Rodriguez, who's facing the Padres. And then you have Taj Bradley, who was good last year, but has been a completely different guy this year. The stuff is down. Everything's worse. And he's in Fenway against the Red Sox. So it's a bad slate. In cash, you're playing Strider. You pair him with, I don't even know who. I probably would go with Erod, but there's not a right answer here. And then in tournaments, you can play almost anybody on this slate. The guys I think I'd have the most interest in would be the guys that do have at least some level of strikeout upside. A guy like Erod, a guy like maybe Mike Soroka, Kachanowicz, but it's not a good slate. It's a hold your nose and hope your guy doesn't get shelled slate.
Okay, interesting. Tim, I want to bring you in. How are you dealing with this, single entry, and if you're looking a little deeper too?
Yeah, so first of all, I'm definitely pitching Strider today in all formats. He's not the same guy that he was a couple of years ago, but he's still fantastic, especially on this slate where it's pretty dreadful for raw points at pitching. He's 9,500, so he's pretty accessible. He's going to be, I think we have projected for 65% projected ownership. In the higher dollar single entries, he'll be 85%. I'm just playing him. Just because he's really that much better than everybody else. I initially was going to play Logan Allen as my SB2. Now that whole rain thing's sketching me out a little bit. I think just judging by what you were saying, I'm just going to keep him. But like Derek said, I don't really think there's a right answer at SB2. There's not a clear-cut guy that I absolutely love. I would say that Michael Soroka at 8,500, if he's really going to be under 10% ownership, I think he's a really fantastic play for GPPs because guys like Taj Bradley, Rodriguez, Soroka, all those guys are right around the same price, but I think Bradley and Rodriguez are going to be somewhat popular. So I think Soroka is going to be a really good GPP pivot. And I don't think Logan Allen's going to be super chalky either. So I think he's a really strong play in GPPs as well. So probably Soroka and Allen for me in GPPs. After that, I don't know if I'd go. Walker Buehler's projecting okay. I just personally, I would not be able to click that unless I was playing probably greater than 20 lineups. I might get like a little bit of him, but I don't really love or even particularly like anyone under that $7,700 threshold of Logan Allen. Guys like Patrick Corbin, maybe in like the highest field GPPs as like dart throws, but I think that's really stretching it. Like I would have 0 Randy Vasquez. I would have 0 JP Sears. I'd probably have 0 Marcus Stroman, Miles Mikolas as well. There's like a lot, like almost half the guys on the slate I probably would just X out. It's pretty close.
Where do you stand with Kashanowicz? I mean, he's 6'2".
Yeah, I think I'd be pretty close to Xing him out as well. So I mean, I really like Texas tonight. I get it that he's 6,200.
Yeah.
I guess if I was going to go that low, I would just reluctantly click on Walker Buehler, but I mean, I don't have a whole lot of faith in Buehler either. Maybe I might have a little bit of Cannon, I guess, at 64. But I mean, it's really bad. I was on a show with Carty and you, Roth, last week, and the pitching slate was absolutely atrocious. Same thing here. I mean, it's really bad. This is a really bad slate for pitching.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about FanDuel, right? There's one pitcher where we generally agree he is much better than everyone else. Are you just playing him on FanDuel at like 90% ownership?
Yeah, I mean, Strider's 9,800 over on FanDuel. I don't see not playing him. Like, I would have to be making greater than 20 lives before I wouldn't have Strider as my pitcher. Wow. Then you could maybe go to maybe like a Brian Wu, Rodriguez, Bradley, that tier. Logan Allen's 8,600. So I mean, those would pretty much make up my entire pool on FanDuel. Like, I don't think you have to spread out, or I don't think you should spread out to more than maybe 5 pitchers total: Strider, Bradley, Wu, Rodriguez, and Allen. Perhaps would be my pitching pool over on FanDuel.
Okay, good stuff, Carty. Anything you want to add on FanDuel, or just what he said?
Again, I don't like any of the pitchers on this slate, but I probably like Walker Buehler a little more than Tim, which is probably the first time I like Walker Buehler a little more than anybody, because I have always hated Walker Buehler. But at his price tonight and ownership, like, I think he's on the higher end of these bad options as opposed to the lower end, and he's priced more like he's a lower end guy.
Yeah. Okay.
What are your thoughts on Brian Wu, Derek?
I think Brian Wu's a really good pitcher. I think he's facing the Yankees and he's 10K. He's going to be probably the second highest owned pitcher on the slate. So if he was going to be like low owned or something, I'd have interest. On this slate, like, yeah, you can have some, but it's not like he's going to be sneaky, and there's certainly lots of downside.
What about Soroka? Would you have interest with him?
Yeah, I'd have interest in Soroka for sure. Especially like you said, like, he, for whatever reason, if these ownership projections are right, like, people aren't going to play him. Maybe just because of the price tag, and because the matchup's not like anything amazing, but it's decent, and he's one of the better pitchers talent wise on this slate. So if he's going to come at a huge ownership discount, yeah, give me some Soroka.
Yeah. Okay, guys, let's flip it. Talk about some of the bats and stacks. Tim, you get to lead us off in that department. Who are we stacking up? I heard you mention that you did have interest in Texas, but I have no idea. On a slate where the good pitchers are against the better hitting teams, I don't know if there's like a chalk option here hitting wise.
I'm pretty sure the chalk option is going to be the Atlanta Braves tonight against JP Sears, just because of that ballpark, the weather. Yeah. Sears gives up a ton of fly balls, or has a strong fly ball lean, I should say. Atlanta is going to be, I think, the most popular team on the slate. I think they're okay chalk, but I think that there's ways to get different, or at least get away from Atlanta on the smaller slate. I think that Texas Angels game with Patrick Corbin and Jack Kohanowitz, I really like both sides of that game a lot. I was really considering betting the over, but I don't really bet sports that often. But I do love stacks on both sides of that game a ton. One team that isn't rating out that well, in terms of like in like stack models are the Diamondbacks against Randy Vasquez. I know that the guys on the last show briefly touched on it. I do like Arizona quite a bit. I don't think they necessarily project that well though. But I think that's going to lower their ownership a bit. Like Randy Vasquez has no K ability. I know he does a decent job of keeping the ball on the ground, but I just think this is a spot that Arizona can really, break the slate at what I think is going to be very diminished ownership. So I, obviously love guys like Corbin Carroll. I do like Perdomo as well. I think he's batting third tonight. Ketel Marte. Basically, that whole lineup. I do like Arizona quite a bit.
Okay, always good to get a little sneaky stack in there, along with like what the clear tops are. Carty, as you look at some of the stacks, where are you putting your ownership?
It's one of those slates where every team actually projects decently. Like the worst projected stack on this slate projects about as well as like a mid-level stack on a normal full slate. So there's not a wrong answer here tonight, I don't think. But I do think the Braves will be popular, and I love the Texas game as well. I have Texas, both sides of that game, Angels and Texas projected every bit as well as Atlanta. I actually probably prefer the Angels straight up, and they're a little bit cheaper. So I like the Angels a lot tonight. With Brian Wu looking like he's going to take some ownership, I definitely like finding some Yankee stacks in there because they project really well against anybody because they're the Yankees, and you get the leverage. So I like the Yankees. And then I think there's a number of other teams that you can definitely stack, but some of my other favorites are like the Mariners, the Nationals, the White Sox. You can find some cheap pieces there as mini stacks or three mans or that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Let's go around the horn, talk position by position. Carty, you get to lead us off with some catcher talk.
You have all the money in the world. Cal Raleigh is the top guy, as he usually is. Not a priority guy for me. I think Sean Murphy will be the guy people gravitate towards. Like Tim said, Braves are going to be chalky. Catcher is obviously not a great position, and Murphy's very reasonably priced, hitting cleanup, has a platoon advantage against the bad pitcher in this park with this weather. Like Murphy's the obvious guy. I think Logan O'Hoppe for 400 less is almost as good and will be considerably less owned. So in tournaments, I like O'Hoppe quite a bit. I like Ben Rice in Yankee stacks, and I don't want to say another word about any other catcher.
Okay, that was a lot of them. I think it was more than enough. Tim, your thoughts at catcher?
Yeah, Jonah Heim at 3K, I like quite a bit. He's going to be, I think, lower owned than Sean Murphy. He's going to be super chalky tonight. Kyle Raleigh, obviously, fantastic. Love the Logan O'Hoppe call by Derek. I guess maybe getting to a couple Red Sox, like maybe Carlos Tavares is part of like a Red Sox stack. I think Taj Bradley is going to be somewhat popular on the slate. So I guess getting to some Red Sox stacks might be a decent way to get some leverage.
Any interest in Edgar Cueto, which I'm sure I butchered?
I mean, he's fine. I mean, he's batting cleanup. He's 2,800. Catcher is I don't think it's that strong tonight. I think he's okay. He's obviously, the White Sox are absolutely terrible. But it's an okay play.
Yeah. Okay. How about first base?
Yeah. So first base, I think Matt Olson will probably be one of the most popular first baseman on the entire slate. I really like Josh Naylor tonight. I actually bet him to homer. He was plus 475 on Deep DraftKings earlier. I really like Josh Naylor tonight. He's my top overall first baseman. But obviously guys like Matt Olson are fine. Aranda is fine as well. Yandy Diaz, I think, is a good play. Josh Smith for the Rangers. Josh Smith is showing quite a bit of projected high ownership, but Josh Naylor is getting less than 5% right now. So I really like him as part of an Arizona stack or just like a one-off right now.
Yeah. Okay. Carty, your thoughts at first.
The guy I like the most is Kyle Manzardo. He was, I think they were saying on the previous show, like the lineup had just come out like right when we were coming on. He's back now. He's hitting cleanup. He's 2.9K. He projects better than everybody on this slate, except for Matt Olson at first base. And so he seems kind of like the obvious cash guy to me at this point. And even in GPPs with the late lineup, maybe you get a little bit of a ownership discount on him. Maybe people aren't really thinking about Kyle Manzardo at this point. So I really like him. I like Miguel Vargas a lot on the other side of this game as a cheap play. Josh Bell for Washington. Really, though, first base, like, you can spend up on Olsen, but it's lefty-lefty. I don't think it's like a necessity. I think you just kind of save some money here and move on.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's do exactly that and go to second, Carty.
Ketel Marte, if you have the money, is great. Not a priority guy. Jazz Chisholm as a one-off or in your Yankee stacks, I like a lot, but I think you're probably settling more in the mid-range or low end here at second base tonight. Ozzie Albies will be popular because he's on the Braves. Marcus Semien, though, in that Texas-LA game, I like. Luis Rengifo on the other side of it, I like. Who else? I mean, it's always bad. It's always bad. I mean, you can just throw names in a hat and, hope someone does something. A Rengifo and an Angel Martinez, a Lennon Sosa, whatever. Like, it's one of those where it's just terrible.
You can plug in a dude and just hope for a home run, kind of.
Yeah, just plug in a guy that's 2.9K or something and hope he gives you 8 points.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, your thoughts a second?
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much just like an only in stacks position for me, outside of guys like Marte, maybe Semien as well. Rengifo is my favorite under 3K second baseman. I'm fine if you want to just punt it with like a guy like Sosa, also at 2,800. But like Albies is going to be, I would not one-off Ozzie Albies because I would just either not play him or play him as part of a Atlanta stack. That's the only way that I would play him.
Yeah, that's a good note. All right, let's go to third.
Austin Riley. This is one chalky Atlanta guy that I really, really do like a ton today. So I'm playing him in both cash and GPPs. He's 4,400. He's going to be popular, but I'm playing him anyway. So he's my top guy easily. If I wasn't going to play Riley, I'd probably play Manny Machado or Eugenio Suarez at 5,200. So third is pretty strong tonight. And of course, there's Jose Ramirez as well at 5,700. But Austin Riley is my top overall third baseman.
Yeah. Okay. Carty.
Yeah, Riley's the top guy just in a raw sense tonight, and he's criminally underpriced, as he kind of has been. So he's the guy. You definitely play him in cash or you're bad. It's that kind of play. In tournaments, though, you can one-off again. I mentioned Jazz before. I like Jazz. Tim mentioned Machado and Suarez. I like them. If you need to go a little bit cheaper, you have Josh Smith leading off for Texas. You have Moncada on the other side of that game for 3.5K. You can homer hunt with Nolan Gorman. He's cheap enough. But otherwise, that's the position.
Yeah, I saw Gorman with a couple tags. I was going to ask about that. All right. That brings us to third base. Or no, we just did third base, which brings us to shortstop, Carty.
Yeah, LA, Texas is the spot I like here a lot. We don't really have a Brave, or at least a viable Brave at this position. Maybe people will play Allen, but I don't know. But Zach Neto and Corey Seager are the guys that I like the most here. They project the best. They're both reasonably priced. Seager probably at 500 less, the guy that you're going to see higher owned and that you're going to want to play more, but I have no problem spending up on Neto, taking a little bit of an ownership discount. And, he's been good, and he's facing Patrick Corbin. Chase Madroth, JP Crawford are both leading off in their games. They're fine in the mid-range. But really, I think I'd probably go pretty heavy on the LA and Texas guys.
Yeah. Tim, third base. Sorry, shortstop.
It's all right. Yeah, Corey Seager, I think, is the top overall play. Loves that Nito as well at 5,000. CJ Abrams at 5,600 is a fantastic GPP pivot tonight to get off some of that Texas Angels chalk. I mean, some people might play Nick Allen. He's only viable, I think, in 5-man stacks or just like really, really large field GPPs. Perdomo for the Diamondbacks at 4,400. I do like quite a bit just because I'm very high or at least over market on Arizona.
Yeah. That gets us to the outfield.
Ronald Acuna is my top overall outfielder. I have him over Carroll, over Judge. If you don't want to go that high up, Mike Trout at 4,700. He's a fantastic play tonight. I do like Corbin Carroll as well. I just like Acuna more because I really do like Arizona quite a bit. I think I would rank, I would go Acuna, Carroll, James Wood probably for raw points, but Mike Trout points per dollar at 4,700. That is a fantastic play. You should probably be playing Trout in cash games tonight. And I do like the Angels stack overall. Jorge Soler at 3K. He's one of the best values overall tonight. Joe Odell and GPPs. So that whole like Angels, Taylor Ward, that whole Angels outfield is just really, really strong play tonight. Wyatt Langford at 4,000. I'm high on. Marcell Ozuna at 4K. I really do like quite a bit. Michael Harris, I like a contrarian piece of that popular Atlanta stack. I don't mind. I think that's really the highlights at outfield for me.
Yeah. Okay. Carter, your favorites?
It's all about the Angels. Angels in the outfield for me. Acuna is the best, but Trout projects better than everybody else. And it's all four of them. They all project really well. It's Trout, Soler, Adele, Ward. They're all great. I want lots of them. I like the Langford call. I think Marcell Ozuna is interesting for the Braves. Aaron Judge will not be very owned tonight. Obviously doesn't project as well as he normally does, but he's still Aaron Judge. He still is good, and you're going to get some leverage off of Woo. So I do like Judge tonight.
Very good, guys. We have 23 minutes until lock. That is oodles and oodles and oodles of time. We want to give the people some home run calls. Carty, we like to talk about some DFS options and then also maybe some betting options that the BAT and the BAT X is recommending. So go ahead, take a look at those. In the meantime, I want to make sure everybody's got the best deal in the industry. And I want to make sure everybody hits a thumbs up as well. I have not groveled for thumbs up so far all show, and that's what keeps the show free. It's the likes and the eyeballs. So if we're not getting the likes and the eyeballs, I'm going to move behind the paywall, and then you got to pay for it. You don't want that, so just hit the thumbs up. Also, MLB DFS annual option $425, but we dropped the price of our Combo Pro to match the baseball package, so you get all the sports for the price of baseball. That's a phenomenal deal, and if you do it 6 months as opposed to month by month by month, you save around 35%, which is pretty great. So I highly recommend you do that. Carty, let's talk some home run calls. What do you like for DFS, and what are you thinking betting wise?
Top guy on the slate is Raleigh and Acuna. They project crazy for a home run tonight. Mid-range, Seager and Riley look good, and then low-end, Jorge Soler projects really well. Okay. In terms of betting, there hasn't been a lot that I've liked today. Theoretically, the best option right now is Lamont Wade Jr. Actually, do we have an Angels lineup yet?
We do, yeah.
We do? He's
batting 9.
Okay, yeah. Lamont Wade Jr. is theoretically at plus 1,100. The best home run play right now, and there's not really a lot else on the board that projects well. I didn't bet him personally. I don't really feel comfortable doing it, but that's what we got.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, some home run names you got?
Yeah, I bet 2 home runs. Josh Naylor, he's plus 450 now on DraftKings, and then Nathaniel Lowe, he is plus 600 on DraftKings.
Okay. Negative Creep is asking for some beard tips. I assume this is just all natural. Like you don't have tips. You're just like, be more of a man like me.
Yeah, I don't do anything.
You don't have like a nice beard shampoo to like keep it soft or anything?
Nope.
Do you
I don't
have to
any of
shampoo
that.
your beard?
I mean, you can. For
Yeah,
sure.
all right. Yeah, I guess it kind of drips down in there anyways, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't have like a special shampoo or oil. No.
Do you trim up in here? You know? Because I'll get like some, I'll get my beard growing up, this way.
Right.
Get a little
It
crazy.
takes a little time to figure out what you want to do.
Oh, okay. I got to plan it out. It looks good.
Yeah.
It's working for you, man. All right. I'm glad we had that. This is what we still have 20 minutes until lock. Sometimes we got to talk about stupid stuff. Jake says, hell no, you don't shampoo your beard. I would have guessed you do. I've never had such
I'm pretty sure people do. I've never been able to grow a beard, so can't talk about it from firsthand experience, but I'm pretty sure shampooing a beard's a thing.
Yeah. Chat, feel free to fight about it. Let us know. Maybe it's personal preference. It's Me says, Roth, you mentioned pitching a bit iffy in Cleveland. Are bats safe? Is there a game?
I think that person means Chicago for the Cleveland game.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Can I be completely honest? I don't know what the hell is happening in Chicago. Models are all over the place.
Oh, no.
Sorry. Models are just kind of all over the place. I think it's going to work out. I don't really have like a great reason to point at and be like, this is why it's going to work out. But every high resolution forecast model that I have says it's going to be okay. But the radar does look a little alarming. And I'm worried that models are just off and don't know what's happening. But I'm just going to trust that the models are right because I've looked at 3 of them and they all say it's going to work out. So that's kind of where I'm at in Chicago. Let's see. We're going to open up some questions. The questions can be about baseball, dinner, and beards. Those are the topics available for tonight. And is there a reason that Luis Garcia, Carty, isn't projected in FanDuel lineup HQ? I don't know if you would know that.
It's a name matching issue, I think, behind the scenes.
Yeah, the Nationals just signed another Luis Garcia, so I think they're having some issues in the system with him.
God, that's annoying. There needs to, it's amazing how much little things like that impact us and just everyone. Like everyone just designs the software a certain way, and then you get the same name. And not you though, Carty, right? You're good.
No, I'm good. I use IDs to avoid that when possible, but you still sometimes have to rely on the names, especially with the lineups, because if someone puts out a lineup, they're not giving you the ID. You got to get the right guy from it. So it can be a little tricky.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Devin says, I've been growing a beard for 2 straight years. I do use a beard shampoo, but mine is long as hell. Yeah, the longer it gets, the more I think.
So it is a thing, though. I was right. It is a thing.
Confirmed. Right. Confirmed. It is a thing. Ricky says, yes, it is a must. So there you have it. It is a thing.
There is one question I wanted to answer. The question was, can you play Riley solo, not in a Brave stack? I think tonight I'm okay with that. Usually I would say no, but I think Riley's so cheap and in such a good spot that you could play him solo tonight.
Okay. Tim, I like this question from Peter. He says, what is the percentage you would play Texas stack and Angel stacks over the Braves if you were only playing 4 lineups? So let's say you had 4 lineups. What would your stacks be, I guess, is maybe the root of the question, Tim.
I mean, I would have exposure all over that Angels Rangers game. Maybe commit 3 of your lineups to that, and then I would do like 1 full-on Atlanta stack.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably.
Nice. It's a good answer. Thank you. Mr. Richard said, my lineups are in. I'm 80% Strider. Yikes. And Tim, that's where you're at as well.
I think that's perfect. In fact, I might even go higher. I think that's fine.
Okay. Ricky says, so for dinner, guys, I had chicken cordon bleu with roasted potatoes and a beer. God, that sounds great. Anyways, my question is, who is your favorite large field GPP SP2, Carty? But that's kind of fun because you're allowed to take a shot. Yeah, knowing
I don't
that
want
it
to take
could-
a shot. They're all terrible.
Yeah, right. But yeah, that's fair.
Maybe give me Soroka.
That's
Yeah.
mine.
Carty, change Timothy Elko to Tim Elko, will you? And Nicholas Kurtz to Nick Kurtz for the love of everything that is holy, Peter says.
Yeah, those are the hardest names to deal with if if you have to map anything by name, is like the guys who like their given name is like a longer version of like the name they go by.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
And some places use the shortened version and some places use the longer one. And you're like, yeah, I see that being an issue. Let's see. Brian says, can I play 2 mid-peer SPs on DK? Is that a good way to get different? If you don't play Strider, it will be different.
It'll certainly
The question
be
is,
different.
will you get positive points? Right? Like, is it viable?
I mean, it's viable. It's not like Strider's a lock. If Strider blows up, 2 of the other guys are going to win a tournament. I'm sure you can make plus EV lineups without Strider, but he is considerably better than everybody else today.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, are you of French Canadian ancestry?
I am not.
Are you Irish?
Nope.
Are you Eastern European?
No, I'm actually Italian. English Italian.
Okay. All right. It's just a very random question, but I was intrigued. Can I fade the Braves? Eric wants to know, Tim, can I fade the Braves, fade Strider, and still win?
I don't mind fading the Braves. I kind of mind fading Strider, but I mean, like Derek said, Strider's not a lock. So, I mean,
yeah, okay. The Schroeder family says, Tim, Bradley, Erod, Soroka in order, please.
Soroka, Erod, Bradley.
Okay. Oh yeah. It makes me so jealous every time. I want that in my life. Mark says, hey, Carty, this Zach McKinstry fella making an all-star team at age 30 after an entire career of suck. That would have some pretty long odds, huh?
I would really be curious. I mean, I can't imagine any book actually offered it, but what the odds would have been, they would have been just monstrous.
Astronomical.
You would be getting paid Sultan money for that.
Let's see. Chris says, for dinner, I'm having sunflower seeds and a Monster Energy drink. That is terrible, bro.
I'm not sure if you know what the word dinner means, bud.
Yeah. I'm like, I hope you're young, and I can't tell you how much I dislike that. If Roth could grow a beard, this is a question from Dean, what would he be most excited to grow? Handlebar, goatee, sideburns, chin strap, soul patch? These are great options. I think like mutton chops would be, I think mutton chops would be a pretty good look. I think that's what I would go with. Jorge says, Carty, what is the correct order in DK Cash of these 3 gentlemen, Ozuna, Langford, Adele?
Definitely Adele first. Then it's close with the other 2. Probably Langford, Ozuna.
Okay. I take it back. I would grow like a pencil thin mustache, like the mustache that's just on the lower portion of the lip. Yeah, that's what I would do. I might do it just for fun. Oh, where are we at? Bates says, pitching is a brutal scene. Any chance I can double pay up? That would be Wu and Strider, Tim.
I don't really like Wu that much. So I think it's
Paying
kind
up
of a
for-
waste of your salary cap.
Paying up for Wu doesn't get you the security you think it does there.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Carty, which this is well worded by Sin3. Which trash bag catcher do you like the best on DK? I.e., is Cuero too expensive? Thank you.
No, I mean, I think Caro's fine. I probably like Jonah Heim a little bit more if you can go that high. But yeah, there's a bunch of trash bag catchers tonight that are all in the mix, all in that like 2.5 to 3K range. There's like 5 of them that are all just the same and fine if you need to save money.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, Blink 182, who has got a brand new thing in the Discord. It's moving. It's happening. His avatar is awesome, and I'm jealous. Tim, large field DK GPP in a 5-man A stack. I'm having trouble deciding between Butler and Soderstrom. I can fit both. Can the great sharp minds give me any suggestions? I guess he means I can't fit both, I would guess.
I mean, if you want to go that route, I guess Butler.
Okay. By the way, I appreciated Sim3's question, and then I misread it. It was, I need a cheaper catcher, Carty. Cuero is too expensive. So we need someone really cheap at catcher on DK.
You're probably looking at like Drew Milas at 2.5K. I mean, you don't even have a lot of options below Caro, but that's the guy who projects the best. So, if that's what you need, that's what you need.
Okay, great. Jay Sam says, hey, Tim, do you think it's okay to play a Nat stack without Abrams since shortstop has other plays like Neto and Seager?
I wouldn't mind getting to like a 3-man of the Nats. I don't want to like 5-man them.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, but you would also be okay if you were to 5-man them. Would you be okay not having Abrams in the stack?
I mean, I guess so. Anything can happen. I don't really love that though. If you go that way, I'd rather it be a 3-man.
Yeah. Okay. Bill says Tim is a good person. Cats can tell. Yes, that is true. We can tell too. We know it. Jumping back in the YouTube again, a reminder to hit the thumbs up. DK Cash question, Carty, Toro or Manzardo?
Manzardo.
Tim, in your family, is it appropriate to wear a hoodie with 2 uneven strings? I'm asking for a friend.
Oh yeah, definitely is.
Yeah, it's acceptable. Carty, Tampa or Oakland stack? What would you prefer?
Tampa's better. Oakland will obviously, Oakland, we're talking about the Athletics, will obviously get you leverage off of super chalky Strider. I don't think they're bad. I think you could certainly have some ace stacks tonight, but it's kind of a apples to oranges comparison there.
Okay. Hey, it's me, Kevin says, do we do home run picks already? You bet we did. I don't know. Can you rewind on YouTube? If you're watching on YouTube, you probably can.
I did Josh Naylor and Nathaniel Lowe.
There you go. Carty had 6. Cal and Judge at the top. No,
Cal and Acuna at the top.
Acuna, thank you.
Seager and Riley in the middle, and then Soler at the low end.
There you go. Good job. Mr. Irrelevant says, hey, Carty, for a large field DK tournament, Michael Harris and CJ Abrams or Big Ron Acuna and Paul DeYoung?
Probably Acuna and DeYoung for me. But, okay. They are fine either way.
Yeah. Crazy Coop says, Dean and Roth need to make a beard bet. Did you see when Dean grew the mustache? I can't compete with that. That thing was majestic. I can't. Look, it's so good. Yeah, I can't compete with that, man. That beard, that stash is way too good. 3-man Rays or A's? Okay, so that's kind of, I guess I'll let Tim answer it this time, but same question. Tim, would you prefer a 3-man Rays or a 3-man A's?
3-man Rays.
Okay. Tim, what do you think of Cards lefties versus Soroka in a GPP?
I don't really like them that much. I get the idea behind it, but I kind of like Soroka tonight. So,
okay. FanDuel GPP, and maybe I'll just go right back to you, Tim, because maybe this will be your answer. FanDuel Deep Field GPP: Soroka, Neto, Rodriguez, or Strider, Soler, Young. Thank you.
I think the side was with Strider.
Okay. All right. Let's see if we got anything. Oh, I'm doing good in the Discord. Still scrolling down. Paul says, any Cleveland position players in cash, Carty? Anybody on Cleveland that you're like, oh, yeah, I want that dude?
Manzardo.
Oh, okay. Who's the dude for Cleveland that just always hits the ball? That's it. That's what he does. He just
Jose Ramirez.
No.
Oh,
Stephen Kwan.
Yeah, I like that guy a lot. I just love I'm just gonna hit the ball. That's the point of baseball. Just hit it. And I think I saw he has like the slowest bat speed in because he just intentionally is like, I'm just gonna keep my ball in the zone for a long ass time to have a better chance of actually making contact with the ball, which is pretty cool. Yeah, pretty cool. That can kind of work. Where are we at? Eric says, what is the cat's favorite stack tonight, Tim? Not yours. The cat's favorite stack.
Roscoe was on Arizona just like me. So sorry.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. DKGPP, Tim Ward or Adele?
They're pretty much the same. I'm trying to see if there's any kind of like ownership difference. I'm assuming probably not. But I would just take whoever you think is going to be lower owned. So I guess Adele. Yeah. Okay.
Brian in the YouTube is threatening to eat your cat for dinner. Not cool with that.
That's messed up,
man. It's not okay. Did you see how cuddly that thing was? That's a nice cat. You gotta you should let them all live, but definitely that one. Boney says, Carty, Neto or Ward on FanDuel?
I assume we're talking like in the util. Probably Ward, but you should probably be playing. I mean, I guess you could play Seager, but Neto at short makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Carty, we rocking with Stroman? That's some rocket sauce.
Not for me, no. I don't think the upside is really there. I mean, he's fine. You can on this slate, but
Jim says dinner plans: Wawa buffalo chicken mac and cheese panini, which I have a lot of questions about. With a blue moon, which I have no questions about. Good choice. They make your pee smell funny though. The blue moons, the wheat beers. It's true. And what is the cat's name? That's Roscoe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is the buffalo chicken mac and cheese is it macaroni and cheese in a sandwich? Is it like carbs in a carb sandwich? Is that what's happening? Let me know, Jim. I'm confused. Tim, last piece in a Ranger stack: Adolis Garcia or Josh Smith?
I'd probably go Josh Smith.
Don says, Tim, can you give me 2 pitchers that will get 4 Ks, please and thank you?
Just straight up 2 pitchers for 4K, 4Ks.
That's it. I mean,
Strider, definitely. Probably I would go.
I love how we have to think about another pitcher on the slate.
I know it's kind of tricky.
4 Ks. Yeah.
The first one is so easy, and then the second one's like, I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking it might be Brian Wu. I mean, he's not a good DFS play, but just like raw strikeouts. I'll look at props really quick. Yeah. I think it might be Brian Wu. What is the bat average projected, Carty? Is Wu the next highest projected K rate?
I can look. It is
DraftKings has Wu for 5.5.
Yeah, it's got Wu and Taj Bradley next, but I would prefer Wu, I think.
I would prefer Wu also.
Yeah. Okay. Tim, FanDuel pitcher besides Wu and Strider, who's your third favorite?
Probably Soroka.
Okay. Brian is curious if you updated your bat models with multiple missing buttons. I assume he does not mean on a keyboard, but rather on your shirt. Probably. Yeah. Like always. You think Carty, he like unbuttons? Now he's always at that level of unbuttonness all day long. He just walks
Those
around.
Buttons never go up. They're never buttoned.
Doesn't exist. Carty, Allen, Soroka, Bradley, FanDuel GPP. Pick one, please.
God, it's so bad. Maybe give me Bradley there.
Okay. Tim, the people demand a Roscoe Rocket. This cannot be one of your home run calls. This has to be a Roscoe home run call. The Roscoe Rocket.
I'll have to look really quick.
Okay. All right. In the meantime, are we still rolling with pitchers in Chicago? Says Hoosiers hang banners.
Just so everyone knows, I was going to pitch Logan Allen. Now I'm pitching Erod just because I don't want to deal with sketchy weather.
It's just the one spot it could go wrong. Like, I don't love it.
I'll go Kyle Manzardo at plus 400 as the Roscoe Rocket of the day.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. To be clear, it was not a buffalo mac and cheese panini. It was a panini with a buffalo mac and cheese, which makes a lot more sense. I was very concerned about eating mac and cheese on a sandwich, but I'm glad to hear that that person is not an absolute lunatic. Let's see. Tim, we got less than a minute until lock. Strider, Iglesias, or Logan Allen and Jazz?
I'd go the Strider side.
Damn, Izzy's having a shrimp boil with sausage, corn, hush puppies, and an IPA. Tim, that's your style, right? You're about that life.
I'm also having shrimp tonight.
Damn.
His sounds better, but mine will be good also.
Yeah. All right. Hey, guess what? We hit the lock. Carty, would you play a 5-man Guardian stack in a DK large field tournament, or is the weather too bad? Oh, I would stick with bats weather-wise. I would stick with bats. I'm just worried about pitchers. I feel like it's the only thing that could go wrong. Tim, Ward or Adele?
I would go Ward and Cash and Adele and GPPs.
Okay, very good. We've hit the lock. I'm going to post a little radar update pre-first pitch in Chicago. So I don't know if you have to pivot or if it looks crazy, I'll let you know. But that's where I stand on that. Is pitchers seem unnecessarily risky for something we don't actually really like anyways. And bats are probably going to work out one way or another. Okay, so for Tim and for Carty and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crunched.